So the way I want to start today, but we are starting early, obviously, but we will wait a few minutes, see if some people come on. But I'm going to want to go around and talk about, like you said, you're feeling really good, Debbie. How come? Has this been real helpful?
Yes, it's been helpful. It's given me a different, I guess you could say, a boost of energy
Mm-hmm.
because I kept telling myself, you know, without being aware of it, that I couldn't do it. I kind of grew up, a lot of the things you said, I grew up with, like you're dumb, you're ugly, things like that. My mom always said that. And she said I could never have friends because of those things. Yet I got the most amazing friends. So it's like a conflict, like a battle going on in my brain. And so I've done lots of things. I've joined, Creative Memories, Young Living, all that stuff, but never once did I try to offer it to anybody because I thought they're not going to want anything from me.
But Young Living, right? That's great oils. Don't we need to use essential oils? Wouldn't that be a great way? Creative Memories, when you're talking about that, I did that. I mean, I didn't do it, but I would do it with friends because you can scrapbook and make memories for your families. So you're picking great organizations or things to do, right? That would help others, but you're hiding your light under the bushel.
I would never offer it.
Did you hear that though? You're hiding that light under the bushel.
Yes. That's what you made me realize. I need to serve and bless. And that's what I can do with the supplements. I can serve and bless.
And parents always do the best job they can, right? With the tools and whatever. And I think you might have heard the presentation I gave down in St. Louis. That might be what you're referring to. I don't know if Ruth's watched it, which it was great, but you don't live there anymore. But your mom probably felt insecure in those areas and pass that insecurity down. So I have a question. How much are you passing down to your own children?
This is interesting because when you shared the thing Grandma says about your grandson, I would do that for my kids when they were asleep. I would go in there and whisper, "You're amazing, you're beautiful, you're smart," because I didn't want them to feel the way I did. But I couldn't.
You whisper to it when they were asleep. What if you told them now when they're awake?
My oldest daughter actually told me, she says, "I heard you, Mom." She said, "I wasn't asleep. You'd come in and whisper it to us, and I knew you were saying that."
Which is great that they knew it, right?
Yeah.
But what if they know that you're not trying to do it when they're asleep? You're trying to do it all the time. I mean, I don't do great at that. I was not, I think I was a good mom. I'm not saying I wasn't. And I try to tell my kids, we don't put each other down in these four walls. We don't say dummy, stupid, shut up. Now they're teenagers and they try to, my daughter literally is living here and she was trying to cuss the other day because she didn't feel good. And she told the cat to get out of the whatever way. And I looked at her and I go, And she goes, well, the cat's annoying or whatever she was saying. And I'm like, I don't care how you talk around your friends. I do, but I can't control that. But you're living in my house and we're not going to act, and you know better, right? And talking that way, how does that make you feel?
Right.
It's not helping her. I mean, she's 21. Yeah. She has to figure out her own life. I'm not making it. I have a great kid. I'm not saying she's bad. I'm saying that if we say, get out of the way, you damn dog, you're annoying. How's that helping you?
Right. It doesn't.
Forget that you shouldn't be talking that way and effing whatever and whatever else you could say, right? How's that helping you? Forget about if you should be saying it, right?
Right. And my oldest daughter taught me a prayer because I kind of have road rage. And I would go, sure, get out of my way. And my daughter says, "Mom, stop it." She says, "Start saying this when you get upset. Say, Lord, protect me from the bad drivers and protect the bad drivers from me."
Well, congratulations that you would listen to your daughter, because a lot of parents don't want to listen to their kids. Right. And kids have great advice too.
Oh, they do. They do. And my youngest daughter did the thing with, we don't say stupid. We don't say dumb. We don't call each other any negative name. And we don't tell each other, shut up. My youngest daughter did that.
So I have my teenagers like to find other forms of doing that. Right. Because they got to always test now we know this is Pat. Isn't that funny? Because it says Nancy, but it's Pat. I know it's Pat. And here comes Pat. But I'm glad this helped, right? Because we're into day 3. Can you believe it? So I'm glad that those have made you more aware. Hi, good morning. I don't know to say morning, afternoon, what I was telling them. But good morning and happy Thursday. And today is Thankful Thursday. Did you guys know that?
Oh, cool.
It's Thankful Thursday. I just make it up. On Thursdays, you should be thankful. It's Thankful Thursday because it's not really National Day, but you can make all your national days up. I know that's what they really do. So Sherry says today is Thankful Thursday. So think about what you're thankful for. Because the more we focus on what we're thankful for, the more we can be thankful for. I mean, let's think of people that we're close to, like your spouse. They can be annoying.
Oh, yeah.
I have the best husband ever, but if I focus on his good qualities and not his bad ones, which by the way, some of his bad qualities when I was dating him or whatever else, I thought those were good qualities, but those little quirks can get to you, right? Whatever they are. Same with your children though, right? But if we focus, what we focus on, write this down, what we focus on grows. So if I focus, I was at the store one day. I'm going to tell on myself. I was at the store one day and I was like, oh my God, my husband leaves his jacket here and he leaves his shoes there. And I don't even know. I was talking to some girl I don't even know. And she goes, I so understand you. My husband used to do that. I just lost him though 6 months ago. And I was like, and she goes, and now I miss that. And I was like, wow, was that not like an eye-opening God thing, right? It's putting me back in perspective here because we all can. Everybody's like, Sherry, you're so positive, which I am for the most part. But I have bad days. I'm human, right? And some days I'm just like, oh my gosh, my kids are driving me. But what if we start thinking, remember I talked about Simon yesterday, right? Simon, I wanted to go for a power walk because that's what I do. And I need to get my activity points in. But Simon, he's 2. He had to stop and smell a flower, pick up a stick, and he loved that the leaves were crunchy. You and I and others look at it and go, look at all those dead leaves that we got to rake up and what a mess. And Simon goes, look at the leaves I can jump in. I can make crunchy crunch with my feet. And that stick looks like I need to pick it up and check it out. And then the flowers, and he noticed the green grass. And so I realized sometimes we just got to slow down, right? Because I'm on this power trip of, I'm working on getting my health back in order, which is a constant battle, right? Weight and health and all that. I mean, like I told you guys, so I almost died 5 years ago. So I gained a lot of weight and I've had to slowly get my health back in order. And it's not moving at my speed, right? Because I don't know if you see me, but I have a lot of energy. I don't know if you realize I get 50 million things done in a day. Wow. I don't know if you realize I'm a mover and a shaker. And so when I want something done, we just need to get it done. But with weight loss, that's not how life works, or working out, or what goes on. Life does not always just snap and do it at Sherry speed. Did you know that? Sometimes it's God's speed or toddler speed, right? It's a matter, are you always moving forward and putting your best foot, right? And I always tell people, it doesn't matter how many times you got knocked down. It matters how many times you pick yourself up. Write that down. Do you know who was it that created the light bulb? He did not get it right away. Airplanes. Oh my gosh, we can fly everywhere now. Do you remember what they were doing, the Wright brothers? How many failures did they have? A lot. Nothing just happens. In my world, I wish it would, so we could just snap our fingers and we could just move on to the next. But that's not how life works always, right? And it's okay to be driven and it's okay to be, right? And I think you heard my presentation I gave in St. Louis, Debbie, you were saying. And I was even saying that. I was like, you ask my husband, when I say I'm going to do something, by God, don't get in my way. I will run your butt over. That's my personality, right? If I'm really trying to accomplish my goal, I'm not going to run people over because I'm too kind and nice for real. I love people. I'm going to drag people along with me. I'm going to, right? That's not really who I am. I'm not a run over person. I know that sounds, but what I'm saying is, by God, I'm going to get it done, right? If I decide. And so when I decided I wanted to write my book, I was going to get it done. And I wanted it done by the end of the year. That was in July 2021. I decided, and I'm going to get it done by December. And remember, you heard in my presentation, it didn't happen. Oh my gosh, if you've ever written a book, it had to be edited, redone. I was so frustrated because new year, come on, get this book done. Then I wanted it done by Valentine's Day. That didn't happen. And you heard the story. It happened in God's time. It went out 2/22/22, which my editor and me did not plan that. But somebody else did, right? It was God. And Sherry kept getting frustrated. Why can't I get all these ducks in a row and just get this book published? I need it out. Did I need it out? Come on, right? And now it's been out for a year and it's done a lot, but I didn't try to be a bestseller because I wanted my book out. I didn't want to go through, first of all, I didn't know how to go all through those loops, and I wasn't going to take the time to research, right? Because it was something I knew needed to get done. And I played with it for like 2 years and I finally just got mad and got it done. But just because you get mad and you want something done and you think you're going to do it in 6 months, and it took me 8. So I was 2 months off from when I wanted it done, not even, probably actually 6 weeks. But I didn't know that, right? Because guess what? We don't know what we don't know. Write that down. If we keep moving forward, have you guys ever read that book, The Tortoise and the Hare?
Mm-hmm.
You know that the tortoise wins every time. And sometimes we try to be that hare. And Ruth will tell you with finances, we do that. It breaks my heart when I see businesses going on under. Do you know that they will go under in 5 years because of financial and not having a plan? And people take out loans and they do all these things and then they don't have a plan. Right? So what if you could do it debt-free, move slower, and stay consistent over time and have a successful business? Right? But that's another thing. Mindset. Mm-hmm. I have a question for you. Simon learned how to walk, I think, just before he was 1. When you learned how to walk, did you do it the first time? Mm-mm. How many times did you fall down? You don't even know? Really? And then when you learned to run, how many times did that take? How many times did you fall down? Simon does not know how to skip. I'm wondering how many times it's going to take for him to do it. Right? Simon knows how to use sentences. I know you guys just love that I'm talking about my grandbaby, but I hung out with him last week. And by the way, my kids say he's my favorite. They even try to tell my husband that. And they're like, Dad, I think Mom likes Simon more than you. Because they know my husband's the love of my life. He's like, I ain't even going to try. And he might as well not, right? Because it's Simon. Come on now. So I'm going to talk more about Simon. But Simon doesn't even know how to do. He can do a few sentences. He can talk quite a bit. But he doesn't have it all figured out. And he says funny words sometimes, doesn't he? I remember his dad, who's a pastor, and since he was like 2.5, he says 5, but whatever. He said he was going to be a pastor. He's 34 years old. When we taught him Lord's Prayer, he was about between 2 and 3. And you know Lord's Prayer, right? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, the power, Well, he wanted to deliver us from eagle, not evil, right? And he kept saying the Lord's Prayer like that because that's how it goes. But he didn't ever give up. And guess what? He's 34 and he's a pastor and he says it right now. Can you believe it? In front of the whole congregation. I don't think he should say it wrong. But my point is, it's okay if we do it wrong as we're learning to do it right. Write that down. It's okay if you do something wrong as you're learning to do it right. Just like parenting, I tried to do the best job I could as a parent. And guess what? I didn't always do it right. Because kids don't come with instruction books. Except for I always tell people there's a Bible. That's a great instruction book. Read the book of Proverbs. Proverbs a day, and you will be shocked what you can learn about life and business. But we don't know what we don't know. And it's okay if you say the word wrong. It's okay if you fall down, right? And we need to give ourselves more grace in that. Ruth, what have you learned the last 3 days of working with us with mindset? That you have to unmute. I learned that today.
Yes. That I have to plan and then follow through. That's what I've really been, because I make great plans, but I don't always follow through. And we went on that. We talked about SMART yesterday, and I wrote down SMART, measurable, attainable, and time sensitive. But what was the other R?
Realistic.
Realistic. See, I didn't.
So if I tell you I'm going to lose 50 pounds in a month, is that realistic, Ruth?
No, not unless you're
But
on
if
that
I
new
tell you
drug.
I'm going to lose 5 pounds in a month, is that realistic?
Yes.
So sometimes we try to say, oh my gosh, I need to lose 20 pounds in 2 months. Is that realistic? Now, you might accidentally do it if you would set your goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you say you want to lose 10 pounds in 2 months, that's pushing it, but it's realistic.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the realistic part. And time sensitive, we need to have a date.
Yeah.
But if we say something that's unrealistic, I used this analogy one time, and no, I am not ugly, by the way. I'm actually pretty good looking. Come on now, let's be real. Okay. But that's not the point. If I decided that I want to be not a movie star, supermodel by the end of the year, is that realistic? Probably not. Not that you can't be different models, because by the way, we need different sizes and shapes. But my point is, if you're trying to be something that you are not, is what I'm trying to say. By the way, I don't even want to be a supermodel. That is so not me. Right. So that's my point. If I'm trying to be a flower by the end of the year, if I'm trying to be what I'm not, then that we would never believe it's attainable. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to be a millionaire by the end of the year when I haven't even started trying to be a millionaire. You know what I mean? I'm in debt. I'm not, but I'm using this analogy. You can't. So when you do unrealistic expectations, so make sure they're realistic. So we have SMART, very specific, right? I'm going to lose 50 pounds. This is just an analogy, right? Measurable, 50 pounds is measurable. What I'm doing is specific. Now we can even get more specific. I always cannot say that word, by the way. Specific. Yeah, I still can't say that. And I'm over 50, in case you didn't know. A lot of people think I'm in my 40s, but obviously I'm not. But anyway, specific. Anyway, that's more like saying, right? So now we can do things like, I want to lose 50 pounds, but I want to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to walk 3 times a week. And maybe I'm going to do strength training 2 times a week, right? That would be what I'm doing to get what I want, the results. And then, so that'd be our SMART, inner measurable. Attainable means, can I do that? I would say I could go be a guy by whatever, but nowadays I guess you can become a man or a woman, or let's not even go there. But the point is, if I'm trying to be something I can't be, or I'm trying to do something, then it's not attainable. And then realistic, and then time sensitive. Are you doing it in 6 months? Are you doing it? Okay, so I just was listening to this and I love it. My husband thought I was crazy because I'm like, oh, it's 184 days till my birthday. He goes, what the heck? And I go, well, I have all these goals I need to get done, and I can do them in 184 days. Right? I do it in quarters all the time because I'm a business coach. I always go first. People get so sick of hearing if it's first quarter or second quarter and what we're doing and how we do it, right? But what if you did next year? How old are you going to be? How many days till your birthday? How many weeks? Where do you want to be in your life for your birthday? Ruth, your birthday's in December, isn't it? November. See, I almost knew her birthday because she's one of my clients. I try to know those type of stuff. But more importantly, that's almost the end of the year. Wouldn't that be cool? So if you don't want to do it in quarters, just come up with some fun time that you want to get whatever done. So I don't know if we have Pat with us. Pat, he's working and listening, which is great because you know what? Sometimes it's better to hear a message than not be here at all. Here he comes. He has to unmute himself.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so what we're asking everybody is what they have like learned or how this has helped them the last 3 days with what we've been working on, because we're actually in day 3 of mindset. Tomorrow will be day 4, but we're just going to recap. What is one takeaway that you have?
Well, yesterday was great because I could listen to the positive vibe you were sending out while I was working, and um, that was great because normally I listen to music or podcast or something, and really it was a great podcast. So the I got a lot out of yesterday.
That's awesome. Yeah, because just
Yeah.
what we listen to, right? And podcasts are good and music's good. So if we get those positive vibes in our day, how's it change that day? And that's what I think we need to do is, with your challenge here is make sure that we are. I do have an upcoming, I told you that we have an upcoming mastermind coming up, and I can send you guys an email on that. No. Let's not do that then. I can send you the email of when the mastermind is, but it'll be next month. And I think it's in just a few weeks here. I don't have it right in front of me. But I have my mastermind coming up, and I limit it to 10 people. And Ruth's been in the mastermind, but every mastermind's not the same. So it's okay if you go through it a second time. But Ruth has been in the mastermind and didn't help you with creating your roadmap with this book.
Yes, it was very
We
good.
dug really deep down, and it depends on who's in the mastermind, which I always say God decides that, because what we do is we tailor it to you. That's why I only want 10 people, and it's a cheap way to do coaching and working with me versus just doing one-on-one, which I recommend one or the other, but I also recommend if we work one-on-one, right, we're going to move faster at a faster speed. And Ruth has been one that has actually done both. She's worked one-on-one with me and been on my masterminds. And which one was more beneficial, Ruth?
I like the one-on-one because I don't know, that was just my choice.
That was in
I
her
like-
opinion, but they were both helpful, right? And they're
Yes.
both right.
Because it
And one
really
of
makes
them,
you stop and think.
my masterminds, why I do my masterminds is a cheaper way to let people get a form of coaching. I wrote my book for the same reason, because my book is set up where you can do it on your own, right? But then my book is set up that if you go in my mastermind and you do it, that's great. And then my coaching, I use a lot of the stuff in my book for the coaching, but I don't always like to call myself a coach, right? I'm a transitional business and life coach. It's what I do. And I'm also a professional speaker. So I do a lot of speaking and training and coaching. But what we do is we do custom roadmaps to move you from here to there. So I have to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you. I got to figure out where you are at and where you want to go in your business and your life, right? And so then we put something down. And like Pat says, currently he's working with me, and a lot of people that have been on here on different have been working, have worked with me. And I've owned this business for 11 years, and I have over 27 years of business and life, coaching and consulting and that kind of stuff. But not to make it about me. But anyway, I try to give people different ways of getting to work with me. And I like doing these free challenges because those are very helpful too. But if we keep moving forward and you go right into my mastermind, or we do one-on-one coaching, obviously you're going to move faster and more effective. So today, though, we're going to focus on our how to learn to change your mindset, right? We talked about that a little bit. And I think you even brought that up, Debbie, right? You'll be walking around and you don't realize, right? So my husband is a workaholic. I'm just going to tell on him. Oh, wait, he would tell you on here, right? So when he's not at work, he's doing a project, and the man does not even know how to sit still, right? And my love language is quality time. So can you imagine how that would go? It doesn't go bad unless you make it bad, right? Because that's who he is. He's going to be really, really busy. But if I go, hey, babe, Can we sit down? Can we have a cup of coffee? Hey, babe, can we go out to eat? You know what I mean? And I work in his schedule. But sometimes we get about, wow, that person is being whatever. Are we out there trying to change other people? Or are we adapting and working what maybe our needs are or who we are, right, with that person? Now, I'll tell you, in business, it's never about you, right? It needs to be about the other person and educating the other person. Now, I'm not saying don't change. I'm not saying change your personality, because guess who's going to work with you? Do you know who's going to work with you? People that like, know, and trust you, right? But also the ideal clients that are going to work with you are going to have a similar mindset as you, similar values, similar, right? I don't show up. You'll be shocked. I'm very authentic. I don't know if you've gotten that from me, but I'm very authentic. So the way I show up here in business is the way I show up in my family. That's the way I show up when I go to church. That's the way I show up when I'm at networking, right? And I have a little smart ass syndrome, and I have a lot of other silly quirks that I do, but it's who I am, right? So I'm not saying to put those away when you're working with people, but to understand where they're coming from, right? And what their mindset is. So whenever we are working with clients, for instance, let's make this about business just a little bit, because all of us own our own business. When we're working with clients, what are we doing? Debbie, do you remember what we're doing? We're selling, right?
Well, we're educating.
Yeah, we're solving a problem though, right?
Right.
So what is their problem in health? Are they wanting to lose weight? Are they just have a lot of asthma? You know, I mean, what do they want?
Right.
Not what you want for them, but what do they want?
Okay.
It's like Ruth, her and I been through the same financial training. She does a lot more than me, and she's been through a lot more training on top of that. So I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, if you walk in and you tell everybody, cut up all your credit cards and stop eating brownies, they're not going to listen to you, right? But if you meet them where they're at and you say, hey, what if we make some of these small changes over time? And Pat's phenomenal. He's a general contractor. He comes in, he has suggestions on how to do stuff. But if somebody wants to put cheap whatever in versus, you know, better quality, I was even asking him that the other day, right? You have to educate them on, if you do it this way, it's going to have to replace at this time and it's going to cost this. But, you know, are you saving that time and money, right? Or is it better just to put better quality? I don't know. I can't talk general contract stuff. Pat could do it for me. But what I'm trying to explain is he has to listen to what his clients want, right? Because if he comes into your house and he tells you that you need to paint your walls all white because pink is a stupid idea, you're not going to listen to him if you want a pink wall, right? It's like, this is my girl's room. I can have a pink wall. This is my bedroom. I can have whatever it is. So we have to make sure we're listening to our clients and their mindset and what's going on. And so we do have to change our mindset a little bit. Be grateful for what you have, but don't be guilty for wanting more. We all should always want more, right? But we need to be grateful where we are now so that we can get where we want to be, right? I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm not, because I wanted to go back to what business clients need. When we're being thankful, we need to be thankful that the right people come to us because we're being authentic and thankful in who we are. Who here does affirmations in the morning? Like, do you do those I am statements? Or, and you know what? Some people tell me I don't like affirmations. And if you don't like affirmations, don't do them. You're like, what? Do a form of them, right? You don't need to get up and say, I'm a superhero, I'm a whatever in front of the mirror, if that's not what you want to do. But what do you tell yourself every day? Do you tell yourself what I do to Simon? You're amazing. You're the best. You're beautiful just the way you are. Do you say that to yourself? Debbie, do you whisper that in your ear in the middle of the night?
Come on, Debbie.
But what if you did, right? In a maybe a different form. But do you catch yourself saying, who am I to fill in the blank? Who am I? I'm going to give you guys a poem that I just recently is like, who am I to do whatever? And it was more about, we're not fearful of, we're more fearful of how much we can do versus what we can't do, really, in a way. And we're fearful of failure, right? But we lost that 2-year-old Simon that you can do anything. Simon's going up the slide backwards. He's going down. Oh my gosh, we don't do it that way, right? He's thinking outside the box and sky's the limit. He doesn't think of the consequences. And I'm not saying that we don't want to think of our consequences or our actions. But what if you could do anything? What if you went back to the 5-year-old you? What if you went back to that 8-year-old you? What would they tell you that you should be doing today? So when you're making a decision, I love this. I heard this and I love it. Somebody said, talk to your 80-year-old self, talk to your 8-year-old self, and then talk to your grave self. Because we're all going to the grave. Did you know that? I mean, that sucks. I get it. Taxes and death. I know I'm being Debbie Downer. Why do we call it Debbie Downer, Debbie? That's not nice. And why do we call it Karen? Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. It's not Debbie Downer. Debbie is not a downer. But the point is, why do we go, right? We all know that our life is this short. So when you're in, what do you want on your tombstone? When you're asking, what do you write? And what would your 80-year-old self say if you're, or 90 if you're 80? You know what I mean? Your older self. And what would the little kid in you say? Would they say, get your corn cob out of your butt? Because we get that, right? Will you just get on the slide and swing and do the merry-go-round too? And then don't forget to crunch the leaves and pick up the stick and look at the flowers. If I try to write down what Simon does in one day, I can't even. After the day, I can't remember what we did because he has attention span of a gnat. So we don't want attention span of a gnat, but I think Simon can accomplish more in a day sometimes than us as adults because he sky's the limit. So write it down. 8-year-old you would probably sky's the limit. You'd be on the playground or you'd be, you ever hear an 8-year-old tell you, I want to be an astronaut, a fireman, a policeman, and I'm going to be a nurse. And then you're like, why do you want to be? Oh, and then I'm going to be a cook because I'm going to cook. Whatever they say, they'll tell you all these things that they want to do. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's great. But sometimes we try to squish your spirit and we tell them you can only be one. Debbie, did you ever work corporate America, Debbie? Because sometimes we'll see what we're doing in this season of our life is what we did in another season, right? We'll see that. Like you'll find out a nurse ends up becoming later maybe a nutrition coach, right? So you're maybe in the same line, but why are we setting limits on ourselves? And I'm not saying that we don't need to focus and know our ideal client, because if you remember like 10 minutes ago, I just told you to focus and know your ideal client. But let's focus, but then let's also make sure that we're doing life to the fullest, right? Mm-hmm. Never stop growing, right? I talked about that with personal development. How did you get where you're at today? By growing, right? I talked about that. How did you learn to walk? How did you learn to talk? How'd you get whatever education you have? Which, right? And some of it's just learning, but let's always continue to learn. I always say, if you're not learning, you're dying, right? Have you guys ever heard the little children's song that, was it read my Bible and pray every day and I'm going to grow, grow, grow? Have you guys ever heard that one? It's been a minute since I've heard of it. But if I close my Bible and I forget to pray, I'm going to shrink, shrink, shrink. Okay, not just your spiritual, but it works with your professional in your business. So if I stop listening to podcasts, stop reading books, stop growing, then I'm going to shrink, shrink, shrink. Because knowledge is power. Write that down. Oh, no, we're not trying to be more powerful, but we're trying to be a better version of ourselves. On this road of life, where are you trying to go? And if you want to change your mindset, right? We talked about that garbage in, garbage out. How many hours a day do you watch TV? And whoever comes back and goes, I wish I watched more TV, especially news and talk shows and those reality shows. Those are awesome. Yeah, right. Isn't it a waste of time? And I'm not saying you don't need to listen to the news at all. And I'm not saying you can't watch TV at all, right? But what if we started replacing what's bringing us more? What Pat say, listening to this was motivating me. Okay, it's like a podcast. Okay, so listen to a motivational podcast. And I have bad news. I have a YouTube channel. You can listen to me all day long. Just go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. I'm always out there with training and motivation and whatever, right? But, you know, go out there and make sure that we're doing what is going to motivate us for the day.
I'll just share, I was out running the other day and I thought, I want to listen to something that'll motivate me when I run. And I happen to have my phone, of course, I have my phone with me. And it were the things about running are true in business too, that discipline, that keeping your mind on what you're doing and having a plan, because you can't just get up one morning and say, I'm going to go run a marathon. You've got at least 6 months of training for it. And when I came back, because I've been working on my avatar, my ideal client, and I was able, that kind of freed my mind up. And I got to sit there and answer those questions and put that in there. And it really does help because it makes you stop and think. And it just kind of gives you, you know, that uplifting, hey, I can do this. Because there are other people out there with the same struggles you're going through that you can learn from. And that really helps. So go to YouTube and just put in whatever you can think about. And chances are what you need is right there. Because there's another YouTube thing. It's called Grace for Purpose. And it's just all prayers. And when I'm doing a long run, I put that on. So I've got good stuff coming in the whole time and it makes a big difference.
It does. And I swear you just read my notes, because when we think differently, we can solve problems and act differently. Write that down. You'll find yourself making decisions at that level instead of the level that you are at today. Do you want to make better decisions over time in your life? Fix your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So my friend Gerald, who, like I told you, he's my second dad, and I lost him 2.5 years ago. He's more of a parent, like my dad to me. He used to tell me, I worked as a system analyst and I worked as a program analyst. And I literally was working as a programmer analyst, system analyst in the 90s when women didn't do that. And I'm a young 20-year-old with a bunch of 40-year-old men. It was intimidating. Let's be real. Okay. Sometimes I would get that imposter syndrome, or everything would fall apart and I'd be overwhelmed and I'd forget, or I'd be like, and so I'd give him a call and I'd be like, I don't even know why I'm here. And he's like, you can do this. He's like, Sherry, walk across the street to the coffee shop. I'm like, there's coffee right here. I don't need to walk across the street to the coffee shop. You know what he was saying is sometimes you got to get away from your problem, walk away to the coffee shop. And then when I would come back, I would go, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whole system back up. Right? Where when I was looking at, couldn't see the forest among the trees, right? And then what was my self-talk? Didn't I just tell you? I'm stupid. I'm a woman. I'm 20. There are all these other guys are in their 40s. They're guys. They know what I knew what I was doing. Do you know how many times I'd solved other problems? But I got in that overwhelm and that mindset and freaking out as a young little 20-year-old girl, overwhelmed where I'm at. But yet I had the skills, right? All I needed to do was walk across to the coffee shop. And then after a while, I learned I could just walk around the block. I didn't always have to go to the coffee shop because I'd be like, there's coffee here. Why am I going to go buy a cup of coffee over there? Just go, Sherry. And I remember he told me that. And now I've realized, like you said, Ruth, I don't run. If you ever see me running, you better start running because there's something chasing us. But in the middle of the day, I will go for a walk. And when I do, and I get back, your mind's clear because you took a break. Plus, you do know we get endorphins from working out. Did you know that? Supposedly running is good for you too. I have never tried it, Debbie, but we could try it and find out. And I walk, but power walking is good for you, right? Getting on a treadmill or elliptical is good for you. And it helps your mind. And sometimes just walking away and taking a break. And today I was reading an article on social media exhaustion. Right? Like we get exhausted and we get so much information at us that we're overwhelmed. So taking social media breaks is a great idea too. And do you need to be on social media all day long? No. Some people literally will disconnect their, I don't know if you've ever thought about doing this, but disconnect, especially if you have an office job, disconnect your internet. So now you're only working on that document or whatever you need to get done. You can reconnect when you need to send out the email or whatever you're doing, but it keeps you off the Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Like right now, my phone is off and turned upside down. I have a pet peeve. I will meet with clients and then they're on their phone. Or I'll even meet with friends and they're on. Why is your phone not upside down and turned off or in your purse? Guys don't usually have a purse, but or in your bag. But why are you? He's showing his phone. I don't know if he's taking a picture, what he's doing. But my point is, you don't need your phone all the time. I had young teenagers and I ran my own business and I haven't. And right now I have aging parents. And you know what? Yeah, maybe in an hour, something bad's going to happen. Maybe my kid will get in a wreck. Maybe my kid could they solve the problem a different way than just me? Do I need to know if they're in the hospital? Yes. But I'm not God. Right? And I know how to call these people back. And I'm not saying that, if there's an emergency that you might not need your phone, depending on what's going on in your life. But I think we just became way too codependent, social media and phone. And that overwhelms us and causes stress and it affects our mindset. So it's as bad as I was talking about TV, but same idea, right? We don't need to totally always be stimulated. See, I just talked about it. Do you need a timeout? Are you overwhelmed? Are you struggling to be the best version of yourself? Or do you need some self-care? There's a difference between I don't feel I'm selfish, right? I'm a nurturer on steroids. I love taking care of other people. It's what I live for. It's who I am, right? I love watching other people be successful. I walk in a room and my husband claims everybody gravitates to me. And I'm like, that is not true. So I paid attention one time when I walked in a room and I seen people gravitated to me. You want to know why? Because I'm going to go, oh my gosh, Ruth, I haven't seen you forever. It's great to see you. And then if I see somebody that maybe I don't care that I seen them or not, because I'm going to be authentic, I'll be like, oh my goodness, your necklace is the coolest. I love your necklace. But whatever I say to you is going to be true, right? And I'm also a hugger. So everybody thinks I hug everybody. I do not. Full disclosure here, and I'm being recorded. Oh my gosh. But no, I don't hug everybody. Some guys take that wrong. Did you know that? And I'm very friendly and outgoing and fun, but I'm not looking for a date. I'm happily married and I don't need crap, right? I mean, that's just me. But my point is, the vibes that you do when you walk in a room or how you act, right? And who you are, all matters. But to have self-care, I just told you, I love doing everything for everybody else. But what about me? Who's going to take care of me? I mean, I have great friends. I got a great husband. I got people that care about me, but who's going to take care of you? Even though I want to go and help all these other people, who has to take care of those people? They have to take care of themselves. Do you remember the saying, put your air mask on before a child's air mask when you're on a plane? So are you putting your air mask on? And people are watching you. Did you know that? Especially if you own your own business. People watch you. So if you say, hey, you need to take care of yourself, and you're not doing it, and whatever that means, right? How do you fill yourself up? What do you do to get your mindset in you okay? What do you do daily? Do you guys know? What do you do, Ruth, to keep yourself in your self-care? I know you run. That's part of your self-care.
I usually get up at 5, get to the gym by 6, and then most days eat a good healthy breakfast and I think that's one of the things that we have to remember is to be intentional about those things. You have to say, and one of the things I'm working right now is time management. It's not that they said, what is this? This is, I don't need more time, I need more focus.
My daughter right now is working as a student teaching out in Olathe. And she's like, oh my gosh, if I could just have more time, 4 more hours in my day. And I go, no. She goes, but I got so much to go on. And I'm like, yeah, well, you need to sleep. And everybody has 24 hours. But what are you doing for you in those 24 hours? And so you're really good with health, and health is so important. But what are you doing for your personal development? What are you doing to take care of your spirituality?
Yeah.
What are you doing for the relationship with you? With you, not anybody else. What are you doing with your relationship if you're a Christian, right? With God.
Yeah. To have that at least a little bit of meditation and quiet time and just lay there when I first wake up, because I learned this over the weekend, is just spend like 3 minutes, just things that you're being grateful for, how you've been blessed. Just stop and think of all the good stuff. Because I haven't had the TV on. It happened to be on the other day only because the DirecTV guy was here. I haven't even turned it on since he plugged it back in. And to spend at least, I think it was spend at least 30 minutes every day reading something that can help you. Just
exactly.
30 minutes.
That's all you need to do. 15 minutes. It doesn't matter. Do you know that my book is intentionally set up that you read it 30 minutes every day? So my book is a five-day study. Mindsets chapter 1. It takes you 5 days. That gives you 2 more days to catch up. So it takes a week. And you read it 30 minutes a day and just focus on a little segments of it.
That's all
it's intentionally written that way because we are busy and we got so much going on in our life. So when people say, I don't have time to read a book, I'm like, well, my book is literally set up where you have time to read the book. And you don't have to do the worksheets. Did you hear me? Now, if you do the worksheets, you're going to get more out of it. But I wrote it where if you're just going to read it, you're going to get more than you did, right? And so, yeah, to look at where are those little segments. Back when I was raising kids, I used to always have a book in the car because I had to wait at dentist appointments, doctor's appointments. I raised 4 kids. Come on now. I had a 13-year-old, 3-year-old, 2-year-old, newborn all at the same time. Then I had 3 teenagers, and you never know. So I would make phone calls when I was waiting because I ran my own business too. But I would read stuff and podcasts and that kind of stuff. When my kids were younger, it wasn't as big of a deal. And I would highlight stuff, and I would always make sure I either had a paper clip or a bookmark or, fold down the page because you never knew when you're going to get interrupted.
Yeah.
Because how much time do you have if you're married and you're raising 4 kids and you're running your own business? I had to sneak those little time, right? And when I was single parent, I used to literally sit, on my lunch hour and stuff. I would have flashcards because how do you pass the test? So it's all those little things that we can do to make sure. But these are extra stuff. I'm talking about self-care. Let's get back to self-care. Just sitting, going for a walk, spending time with you, spending time with God, working out. My husband put a blow up hot tub in my backyard. What if I just go hang out there? A lot of times I do strength training in my hot tub. Sounds crazy. But what are you doing, right? In those small little moments. Do you know that you're a better version of yourself and you're less snappy with your clients and your family and whoever else when you put your air mask on?
Mhm.
Debbie, what are some things that you do to get your air mask on?
I have two really close friends that I can call, and they usually pray with me. And the amazing thing is, two of those friends, well, I've got like four really close ones, but two of those friends always seem to call me exactly when I need it. So,
Really? Do you think those
yeah.
are called God winks? That's what I
Oh,
call
yeah.
them.
That's
See?
what I call them too. I call them God winks. I love those books. Yeah.
But I've had times when life has been busy and I have a great support of mentors that are my Bible study friends. And I'll try to call them all and they won't answer the phone. Then I get frustrated. And then God's like, why didn't you just go to me?
Right. Right.
Why are
And
you not calling number one?
Yeah. And I do that too. I do that too.
I know, but I'm saying there's been times because usually I can just get a hold of all my friends and they're going to pray for me and they're going to be there and they're going to support me. And I mean, I talk about that in chapter 4, right? That we need coaches, mentors, and we need friends. And my husband told me not everybody's my friend. He claims I collect them. So there's acquaintances, there's associates, and then there's friends. But Pat, what do you do for some self-care in a day? He has to unmute.
Sorry, I had to unmute.
Self-care is so important, Pat.
Self-care. Let's see. I haven't done a whole lot of that because I've been self-care, boy. Let's see. I do work out a little bit in the morning and um yeah, that's it.
But that's good then better than nothing, right? We all can
Yeah, yeah.
improve on that, right? Because
Well,
sometimes we forget about us and we're not, people say we're the most valuable resource and we are the most valuable resource that we have, right?
right.
In your health, like you said, working out is so important. Eating right is so important. Do you spend time with friends at all, Pat?
No, because I got two in high school and they're both in athletics. And honestly, that's my self-care because I love running around with those guys. They're awesome. And but no, I was just thinking about social stuff. I haven't done any social stuff in a long time, but um, thinking about online dating. How about that?
Oh,
Is that self?
okay.
Is that social? Is that what you're asking? Is
That
that
is
not a right
social,
answer?
but to get together with one of your friends is a good idea too. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, no,
online dating.
I do. You know, not as much as I used to. Everybody, all my buddies are, they got kids that are running too, so we're kind of at that. Every once in a while, we'll get together. But I also stopped drinking here a year and a half ago, so that took a lot of my social away because I'd meet people at the bar at the end of the day, and
Do you
so I
know
don't
that
do
you
that
don't have to
anymore.
drink? Do you know you don't have to drink alcohol to go to the bar at the end of the day?
Well, now that's what they say, but
I have a couple of
it's
friends that literally will show up and socialize and not drink at all. I mean,
well,
they'll have,
well, good for them.
you could have
I'm not
tea,
there yet.
you could
Yeah,
have
I'm not
Coke.
there. Oh,
I'm
that's a
not
good
there
one.
yet. Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of no, that was
And that was too funny because that's exactly what I was going to say is when are you going to meet up with some guys and have a beer? That's exactly what I was going to say. But we don't have to
right,
meet up
yeah.
with girlfriends and have wine. And we don't have to meet up with the guys to have beer, right? I did
No,
stop, like you said. One time I was doing that. It was before pandemic. I kept meeting everybody at what is it called? For margaritas, $2 margaritas, happy hour on Fridays. And after a while, I go, that's fun to hang out with them and this and that. But how is that taking me to where I want to be in my health? Right? I don't need to
yeah.
go drink margaritas every Friday night. Now I will have a margarita every once in a while. I don't see anything wrong with drinking, whatever works for you. But I decided that wasn't getting me where I wanted to be. And now that I get in that hot tub I told you guys about, blow up, everybody's like, well, grab a glass of wine. I'm like, no, I take my water and I listen to my praise music or whatever, but it's only me. I'm there by myself. But I'm an extrovert on steroids. So what brings me a lot of joy is to hang out with, like, I'm going to have a bunch of friends over Saturday night. And that's my, what is it called? Awesome time. Self-care. It's important, right? And I love it. But sometimes to realize that you might just need me time, right? Even if you are an extrovert on steroids like me, you might still need me time. And Pat was talking about not even having time to date or having time to, right? So when we had 3 teenagers, we were running around like you wouldn't believe. And I realized this. I realized I didn't have to be at every one of my kids' activities. I was at every one of them, like Pat was talking about. But I realized if I missed every once in a while an activity, once a month, once every 3 months, it was okay. So my husband and I would leave for the weekend like every 3 months. And the kids would go, but you're going to miss. And I'm like, yep, but we'll be there next week. Because having time for my marriage, right? And that was important too. And having time just to be us or me, right, is important as well. So yeah, that busy time can be busy, or after all the activities, then you can. My little brother's dealing with that right now. And I have so much fun laughing at him because his kids are 17, 15, and 13. And mine are all young adults. And his wife was over here and they were working on a van. And she's like, are you sure you're going to miss teenagers? She goes, do you want some? And I go, hey, they can come over and play with me whenever. I'm awesome Aunt Sherry. But I get to send them back home because they're so much fun, right? Teenagers are fun. 2-year-olds are fun. Toddlers are fun. It's just sometimes they can be difficult. But if you're not their parent, they're always fun. Come on, because you get to give them back. So you only get them on the good. If they're acting up, you just say, I'm calling your parent. I'm done. But anyway, just to make sure that we're doing those self-care and that we're spending time on us so that we can do for others. And often we feel guilty when we take some of that self-care, right? My kids even did that to me. They were like, but you're going to miss. I get that, but I'll be at the next thing. Right. And my kids till 8th grade, they went to private school. And we had a great support system that I could have other parents show up to. Right. And then we could tag team and I would show up to their kids' stuff and things like that. But find ways to do that, to get your oxygen in and get your energize that body and fill your lungs with those essentials of life. Right. Remember to stop and smell those flowers and play in the leaves. But Simon was trying to teach me last week. And those were some of the ideas. As you could work out, you can decide to yell, call a friend, or journal. I'm seriously just to go somewhere sometimes and just vent or get outside where it's safe and just yell. I mean, because life can become so pressured. I started meditating. I don't know if you guys have ever tried meditation where you actually listen to somebody that's helping you with meditation. And that's a good thing to do too, right? To maybe do some kind of meditation. And of course, prayer meditation is important. And you can take a mini vacation to go away or go out by yourself to see nature, lake, or the ocean, depending on where you live. As a mother of 4, a wife, a daughter, a grandma, a businesswoman, and a coach, sometimes I just need to get away from everything and everyone to just breathe. Just to say, whew. And I think that's something the pandemic taught us, right? Before the pandemic, I would be all over the place doing all kinds of stuff. Since the pandemic, I do things like this, which I still get to sit here with you, but I'm not running everywhere, right? And you guys are on Zoom and we're spending this precious time going over precious information. So some ways that you can do affirmations, okay, versus I am a child of God. I am a powerful businesswoman. I am a charismatic, enthusiastic, what is it? Energizing woman or whatever, right? When people started telling me I was charismatic, I hated that. It's like, I'm not charismatic. And I went and looked it up and I realized, guess what, guys? You'll probably all agree I'm very charismatic. And I'm energy and I'm resourceful. That's right. I'm a charismatic, resourceful energy leader or something. Somebody told me, and I was like, what? But be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for who you are. If you're charismatic, don't try to be. Terry Ann and I did conversations with Sherry and Terry Ann, and it's out on my YouTube. Terry Ann is phenomenal. I think Ruth used to watch us, right? We are opposite. So Terry Ann has Motivational Monday. You know what she'll do? She'll grab a glass of tea. He's her thing. And she'll be like, it's Monday afternoon. Let's just slow down and drink some tea. Let's just breathe. Okay, now, is that how I'm going to do Motivational Monday? Or am I going to say, let's grab our coffee, let's kick some ass, let's get our to-do list done. What are we going to get done today? Which one would you believe is me? Right? Which one is wrong, though? Exactly what Terry Ann's doing of slow down, let's have some tea, just breathe. Let's stop and think of how much stuff we've done already today. What do we need to refocus on? But if I do that, I'm not being authentically me, right? I don't even know how to do it. I think I did a crappy job, but I tried. But, what I'm trying to say is be honest with who you are, be grateful for who you are, and be grateful for what you have. We have a group of friends and they're awesome. There's about 7 of us and you can switch us however you want. And not all of us are married. One of us is single, not me, but one of mine is a single friend of ours. And so he's single, but there's 5, 6, 7 of us. And one of our friends' son goes, I don't even know how you guys all became friends. You guys are a bunch of misfits, but you can change them however you want. But if you look at the other friend's spouse, as much as I love them, like they're like brothers to me. They're my best friends. Pat even knows one of them. But anyway, my point is, you can mix us all up. You can leave us on the beach. We go traveling together. We have so much fun. But boy, do I not want to be married to any of those other guys. Right? And my guy can be annoying, but I know how to deal with him. But sometimes we're like, oh, that grass is greener on the other side. And Kevin loves all the girls that we hang out, right? Like I said, we're married and we're more like, I don't even know. We're all best friends and we hang out together. It's awesome, right? It's Friends. You ever watch the group Friends? That's how it is, except we don't sleep with each other. I'm just being funny, but I'm saying, do you look at your friend's spouse, right? And do you say, oh, I think it would be easier to be married? No, it won't. You don't want what other people have, right? You're equipped for what you have. Look at your kids or your grandkids or whatever it is, right? Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for who you are. Because sometimes we look at the other side and we think the grass is greener. Terry Ann is a really good friend of mine. I love her. I think she's awesome. When I grow up, I think I'll be Terry Ann. No, I won't. And so when we did a podcast for a year together, it was a yin and a yang. Guess what? Like I said, Ruth watched it. People would love it because it was a yin and a yang. Right? And it's out there on YouTube. You can watch it. We've since shut it down because we're both busy, not because we just both busy with different things. My mom almost died in July and we had too much going. Anyway, it's a long story, but we'd argue about coffee and tea too, but it really wasn't an argument. It was more yin and yang, right? And so we talk about mindset and we'd have a different perspective. We talk about this and we'd have a different perspective. Really good podcast that we did for a while. And we need to, when we're putting together affirmations, let's talk about affirmations because that's going to be your homework, okay? Be grateful for what you have. So you can write 10 things you're grateful for. And if you're in a slump and a bad time of your life, are you grateful you got out of bed? Are you grateful you have another day? Are you grateful that you're breathing? There is a guy I met when I was down in St. Louis. He got in a big car wreck and now he can walk, but not that great. You know what I mean? He overcame. He could have died in the car wreck, but he has a thing called make every second count. So are you grateful that you can walk? You're not in a wheelchair. Are you grateful for your kids? Are you grateful for the spouse that God gave you versus, my friends' spouses who can be annoying? Ha ha ha. But no, but they're great friends. I just don't want to date them. I don't want to marry them. Come on. Right? So the thing is, let go of that judgment of you, of where you're at, and be grateful for, and set reminders and time blocks to have the time for your affirmations. Have the time to whisper those things in your ear, Debbie. Hold yourself accountable. Be willing to experience, modify, and try again. Right? You're not going to get stuff perfect. So write down those gifts. What gifts do you have? What gifts do you have? I can't build stuff and do all the great stuff that Pat does, right? And I absolutely love Ruth. I've worked with her a lot, but I promise you, Ruth can't be me and I can't be Ruth. I can't be her personality. I can't come across as her. Did you want to say something, Pat? You can change your affirmations too for to be who you want to be and what you want to be, right? You don't have to stay where you're at. Pat, did you have something to say? You have to unmute if you do, though. You can have those big dreams to stretch you and be excited. And Pat was even talking about getting on a date site. Do you actually have a list of what you're looking for if you want to go date? Right? You guys can't date because you're all married, but I'm saying, right? Do you have what you want for friends or for somebody to date or who you want to hang out with? What are those qualities? And are you the quality of what you want to be, right? Journal every day to grow, learn, and be accountable of your mindset. Did you hear me? What if you journaled and you started saying, did I have a good mindset or did I have a bad mindset? And when I had a bad mindset, what did I do? Because it's a muscle. Mindset is a muscle. It's an ongoing, we're talking about working out, but what about working your mind? Every thought we think is not true. And everybody, no matter even the president of the United States, has bad mindset. Did you know that everybody walking around, if you knew what people were thinking, you'd be shocked. You can solve problems by talking positive mindset and forcing action. When you think differently, you find yourself making better decisions. Remember? Focus on that mindset, actions and results. So I just made a post in our big Change Your Mindset, Change Your Life on Facebook. And I asked, I don't have it right in front of me, so I'm paraphrasing, but I asked, where are you going to be in a week? And I was like, we're just talking about mindset. If you change your mindset, where could you be in a week? Where could you be in the next 4 weeks? Where could you be by your birthday? Where could you be, right? And believe that you have the resources to get there or that you can find them. And therefore, if you journal, we can go back and we can reevaluate our mindset, exposed to where you are now. And so think bigger so that you can get there. Because you know where you were trying to be tomorrow? You've never ever been there before. Did you know that? So, Debbie, how much sales, how many people do you have in your business?
I only started a few weeks ago.
Good. You have 0. So if we do 0 times 0, we have 0. You can double that easily. But what if you want to get 4 people next month or 5 people next month? What if you change your mindset? How many people did you have in your other businesses? Go look. If you had 20 people, what if you get 40 by changing your mindset? And if you're starting at ground 0, give yourself a pat on the back. That's awesome. because you can go, right? If you've
Right.
lost no weight, you can lose weight. Realize that you haven't been exposed, though, to where you want to be. And so you can make a lot more and do a lot more, and you can and you will, all with your mindset. And there's small changes over time called habits. Write that down. There's small changes over time called habits. We talked, I think it was yesterday, about writing those 5 things that you do first thing in the morning, writing those 5 things you do in the middle of the day, writing those 5 things that you do at the end of the day. And are they taking you closer to your goals or further away? A lot of it's just changing that mindset of it all. How do you feel when you watch the news? Not that anybody here does, but how do you feel, right? With some of that stuff that you do. If you drive through McDonald's and you eat a, what is sausage biscuit, how do you feel after you do that? And feelings are not always true, but I'm saying, how do you feel in your gut? Is it taking you where you want to be? So we're going to evaluate. As you make bigger goals, you'll become more successful. Write that down. As you make bigger goals, you become more successful. Realize you have only been exposed to where you are now. So think bigger is essential to expanding your mindset. You can and you will. I love this saying. I'm going to win, 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 no matter what. But wait a minute, I'm going to fall down. Yep. And you know how you win? You get back up. And you found out that if you try to skip, jump, and run all at the same time, you're going to fall down. So what if we just try to walk, right? You learn every time you fall down, you're winning. You got to look at failure in a different manner. It's not failure. It's just another way that things didn't work. Right? So what are you doing today to get you to where you want to be tomorrow? Go ahead, Ruth. You got to unmute, though.
Oh, I just read this little thing. It's the power of a directed mind and heart. And it says, stand guard at the door of your mind, condition empowering emotions such as gratitude, courage, faith, determination, compassion, and love. Break your pattern and avoid emotions that create stress. And you utilize the healing power of your heart. This is 3 times a day. Stop what you're doing and shift your focus, mind, breath, emotion to the area around your heart. And then, of course, start and end your day each day with gratitude.
Yeah, and so that's great, right? So they're
Yeah.
saying, breathe, stop. What if you did it in the morning, you did it at lunchtime, and you do it at dinner time? And you start off your morning. I always have to start my morning off in gratitude. And by the way, when I say always, do you know that I've actually gotten a fight with my spouse in the morning? I bet you guys never have. And the last thing I want to do is be grateful at that moment. And if the kids didn't get out to go to school, I mean, they're now grown, right? But I mean, the dog peed and pooped in the kitchen. My husband started an argument and my kids wouldn't do what they were supposed to be doing. And now my hair is a mess and I'm having a bad hair day and it's raining. So what the freak? And I'm already late to my meeting. Do you think I want to stop and be grateful? No. Is it a choice to be grateful? Yeah. Maybe at that moment, I'm not going to be grateful. Let's be real. Maybe I need to calm myself down. Maybe I need to breathe. Maybe I need to say, well, all right, thanks God for the rain. Now my flowers can bloom. Right? Thank God I still have a dog. I just put 3 down in 8 months and at least I have 1. I got to start thinking differently. But is it going to take a minute? Did you not hear what just happened? My husband pissed me off. The kids did not do what they were supposed to do. The dog peed and pooped. And it's raining and my hair's like, you guys see my hair when I wake up in the morning sometimes. Right? So I don't look this way. Did you know that when I wake up in the morning? I don't feel this way sometimes when I wake up in the morning. Right? You don't look the way you look right now when you wake up in the morning. Or do you? Do you guys all wake up looking all like that?
Oh, yes.
Right? If you see me in the morning, oh my gosh, right? We get married and our poor spouses, at first you don't really want that. Anyway, my long story short. But the point is, before you go out to the world, right? You got to get your mindset right too. And somebody told me, if you're not streetable, don't show up. Oh, wait, that was Gerald too. But if you're not streetable, don't show up. If you show up to a networking event and you're pissed off at your husband and you're irritated with your kids and you're mad at your dog because he peed and pooped and you just feel like you look like crap because your hair's like, because I'm just using my stupid analogy, that, by the way, stuff like that's happened in my life. I know you're shocked. Didn't happen today. The kids are grown. My husband literally went to work and gave me a kiss and everything's cool in my life right now, but it's not always, right? It's not always okay, but we have to get that streetable, right? So if you show up to a networking event or you make phone calls or you whatever, when you're in that mindset, do you think you're successful or do you think you fail? You know what? You're better off taking a sick day than showing up. So if you can't get yourself calmed down, you can't do, right? But that's not saying, we have a great group that meets tomorrow morning that Pat and I belong to, and they're really motivational and Pat could tell you too, they're just a great group to be around. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't go to network tomorrow because all that happened, right? But I'm not going to walk into networking. I don't want to say Debbie Downer because that's horrid, or Karen or whatever else, but I'm not going to walk in there being an Eeyore, right? I'm just not. I might want to be more of a piglet, right? And if I do walk in there being an Eeyore, right? These people know me well enough. They're going to walk up to me and like, what's going on, Sherry? And there's been times, because I know them well enough, that I have showed up not maybe at the best version of me. So I'm not saying don't always show up, but realize that we might need to redirect and work on our mindset so that we can be. But you're not going to close a deal if you're texting, fighting with your teenager, if you're, all that stuff. So what part can we control and what part can't we? Our mindset. Gerald used to always say, I'm so about telling you what Gerald used to say, but Gerald used to say, make it a great day. He didn't say, have a great day. He would say, make it a great day, because it's our attitude in all of that. I get to choose my attitude. So my husband pissed me off. The kids were late. My hair's a mess. What the heck? The dog had whatever problem. And oh my gosh, my life is a disaster. But then I can say, thank God I can go to this networking group where there's these awesome people that are fun to be around. And you know what? It is raining, but I've been wanting my garden or my flowers to grow, and now they're going to, and my hair, you know what, Sherry, you've always had big hair and you got a lot. You got to learn to laugh at it and let it go. Because that's what I taught my daughter when she was little. We used to tease our hair in the front of the mirror, try to make it as big as we could and laugh about it when she was like 2 and 3. Oh, wait, she was like Simon. She thought it was fun. But I taught her that because when we roll out of bed in the morning, when you got big hair, I got a lot of hair, people. A lot, I promise you. I got a lot of hair. I don't think I'll ever go bald, but my hair can be like this. And so can Robin, because she inherited it from her mom. So I decided when she was like 2 or 3, that when her hair would be, and I still tease her sometimes with her hair, but we would literally tease it and just see if we could make it crazier and laugh at herself in the mirror. Because if I have big hair, I have big hair, right? There's nothing I can do about that. Right? And so sometimes we just got to find those small things that we can laugh at to change our perspective. And when it rains, my hair, all week this week, my hair's been crap. Because we have bad rain and humid. I don't even know. What do we have here in Kansas, Debbie? Hasn't been beautiful. Has not been beautiful. But we're spoiled because we've had beautiful days. But it is beautiful, if that makes sense. It's just a matter of how you look at it, right? Your perspective. So what I want you guys to do is put together some affirmations. They don't need to be I am statements, but you could do that. But they can be, like I just told you, some of these ideas, being thankful, if we go over our thankfulness, right? And the power of words. the way we say something. I have 0 clients. That's not a good thing to say. I just started this new business venture and I'm excited to go out and educate and show so many people about it. And I can't wait to see who joins my team. Right? God and I are going to figure this out. You don't have toxic people in your group. Did you know that? You're not working with a toxic client right now, Debbie. You don't even have a toxic team member. You might not get them because maybe you're going to look at it in a different perspective and only get the ideal clients and the ideal team members. Or if you get the toxic, you're going to know how to deal with it, right? Because you're going to work on that muscle. But starting where you're at is a good thing. And remember, we said set timers. Ruth said the exact same thing that Arthur said. We're set timers where you take time throughout the day to do your gratitudes. It could be lunch, dinner, and, right? I don't know about you. I try to pray at all my meals. I've gotten worse since the kids have gotten older, but most generally I do. Even if I go out with people, I might not pray with them. I might just pray to myself. But that's a good time to do gratitudes at that point too. Like, we don't have to always ask God for stuff. We can thank God for stuff. What an idea. Driving in the car, you could say stuff. And when I've had those bad days and I'm on my way to networking, I do have to figure out how to change my mindset. So I say, oh my gosh, God, all this crap's going on. And then I say, wait a minute. Do you want to stay here in your stinky diaper? Or would you like to change your diaper? Because if you're going to change your diaper, Sherry, you got to start changing that mindset. Because if you walk in a poopy diaper, you're going to stink.
And when you stop and think about it, how many times have you heard people that have lost someone suddenly and they said, oh, the last thing I said was, we had an argument or something. How many times have you heard that? And that's something to stop and think about when you say, is this what I'm feeling now more important than that person's?
Exactly. So I don't like it when my husband gets mad and tries to leave to go to work without even telling me bye. Because no matter how mad I am at you, I care about you. Now, sometimes he snuck out of the house and done that. I don't think it's okay because I've lost people. But then again, does he need a timeout? Do I need to respect? And does he know that I care about him, even if we're mad at each other? Right? Because that can happen. And I've said that before. Life is short. Hug your people that you love. Tell them that you love them. And they always say don't go to bed mad either, which is another thing I don't like to do, which doesn't always work out in a marriage, does it? Because I can only control what I want. But maybe the other person needs their space or they don't want, right? You can't control that but you could make sure that people know that you care.
It's kind of like, when you tell a kid time out, say, I think we both need a time out. I still love you. I care about you, but I'm not just real happy with you right now. And to be able to adult that is really hard sometimes because I've learned to look at my husband of 50 years and say, you really hurt my feelings yesterday. And he goes, what did I say? Well, you said, I was talking about to get almonds out of your teeth after you eat them. And he goes, well, what else you got to do? And I was like, you think I just sit around here? Do you ever notice you should always have toilet paper and underwear? And it's just something, that you need to learn to appreciate those little things, and
not to bash guys, and Pat's on here, but the point is, I don't think guys always get that feeling thing. You said, I hurt your feelings. And they're like, just get over it. I mean, some guys are more, they might get their feelings hurt, but some of that's just a personality thing, right? Because I have a great husband. He doesn't always get it when I tell him that. You hurt my feelings because well, you know what? Maybe you need to get over your feelings. And really, to be honest, I probably do need to get over my feelings. Because was he really trying to just hurt your feelings? Or was he just making a statement, right?
Yeah.
You have to start thinking where they're coming from, not where you're coming from, right?
I heard something when I was a teenager. I actually met Stephen R. Covey before he became an author. He
Uh-huh.
came to a youth group at my church, and he said something I've never forgotten. He says, I love you more than anything that bugs me. And when something bugs me, I'll show you.
See, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love it. And it was Stephen R. Covey that came to our youth group, but I've never seen that in any of his books.
So
And
you said, I love you more than anything that bugs me.
And I'll prove it to you when something bugs me. I love that.
Well, my daughter.
Now, if you could only do that all the time, right?
Yes.
Because if you're like me, I will
Uh-huh.
scream at my spouse and my kids, and then I'll show up and give you all these affirmations and tell you, right?
Right. And he said,
and not that my clients and not that you aren't important, but do you think that maybe my kids and my husband are just a little bit more important than you?
Yes.
But yet I just screamed at them. I just whatever with them, and I would never with you. That's not okay, right?
Right.
But that's life, right? Because who do you feel the safest with? Those people that love you no matter what.
People you
right? My
scream at.
husband's seen me with big hair. My husband has seen me when I almost died. My husband's seen me after I gave birth to kids. My husband has seen me at my worst and at my best. And he still loves me, right? So you test that because I can. But no, right?
Right.
And they sometimes do it in reciprocating. Don't worry, I get my share from him.
Right.
But the point is, why? Like you said, I love you more than anything that bugs me, and I'll prove it when something bugs me.
Yeah. And he said,
so we have fun little things. I tell my husband, you're lucky that I love you. That really means that you're being stupid, but it's a nicer way, right?
Yeah. But Stephen R. Covey said that when you do lose it, he said that's when you need to offer the flower of forgiveness.
Oh, see?
Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty amazing. And then when I saw his book, I go, I know him. I got so excited.
Well, and you know, everybody starts somewhere. What'd you say? I knew him before he's an author. I wrote my first book. How many more books do you think I might write? Come on now. How famous am I going to be? I guess they made me actually a public figure on Facebook because they won't let you have more than 5,000 friends on Facebook. So now I'm a public figure. And Ruth can tell you I'm all over the place. And how long have you known me, Ruth?
Oh gosh, is it going on 4 or 5 years, is it? Or maybe more.
Back in 2021, I won the Kansas City Businesswoman Advocate of the Year. I won another award. I wrote a book. I mean, I'm not big stuff, but I've done a lot since Ruth, when she first met me, right?
Yeah.
She might have seen me evolve a lot. So what if people say that about you? I knew you when.
That's cool.
Ruth met me because we were at the same financial training, right? And she was like, I loved your energy. I knew I needed, and I think it was a year later, she finally, and not that we didn't connect on, but I think it was a year later, she's like, I really need to work with you. And I knew this for a year, but I needed, right? I don't know. Because it's like when the student's ready, the teacher's going to appear. How many times does that happen to you though, right? Ruth's going to meet somebody and they're going to love her, but until they're ready, but they're watching you on social media, they're watching you, right?
Linda Anderson brought me to your house just before the pandemic. That's
right.
And I've been following you ever since. I kept saying, man, I want to do those workshops and things. I finally did it.
That's right. Because I used to have come all get-togethers at my house, and I forgot you came to my house.
Yeah.
And see, if somebody comes to your house, how do they feel?
I felt welcome. It was great. And it was so neat because the way you interacted with your son, it was so authentic. I said, that's so great.
With my son?
Yeah, I think he came in and you had a little conversation. I don't remember what it was about. And I think you told him, okay, or something. I don't remember exactly. But I remember there was some interaction.
But do you see how people see how you act with your family, in your business, in your church? I don't remember it, but you do. Yeah. And that is my oldest to second, my second to oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so how do you treat? But what if I would have yelled at him and which I don't think I would do that with a bunch of people around. My point is, if you did do that, what are people thinking, right? So be
Right.
the authentic self that you are
Right.
over time.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
anyway,
great.
let's go work on our mindset. Tomorrow we're going to recap where we're at. And I can send you guys the link to my mastermind that's coming up next month. And I am glad that you had a good experience when you came to my house. But somebody tried to change my house one time and they weren't a friend. Like I told you, my husband told me the difference between acquaintances and friends and associates. And so I have Mickey all over my house. I think Debbie can tell you that. And I have Christian sayings all over my house. And I have positive sayings all over my house. And if I don't have that, I have pictures of my family everywhere. So this person that I knew, because we raised kids together, she's like, we need to update your house. What do you mean? You need to make your house look more like a big person house. You don't need Mickey anymore. You've outgrown him. I've loved Mickey since I was 3. I have a lot of Mickey. Most of it other people gave me. My family's really important to me. God's really important. She wanted me to put, because she did this to her house, which is great. But she put those pretty pictures, scenery pictures. I call it making your house look like a museum, but it looked like a big person house. So I told Gerald, and Gerald goes, are you serious? That's like telling the Barbie collector that they need to get rid of all their Barbies, right? So I do this to my nieces and nephews, and now they're older, make them try to count all my Mickeys in my house. And by the way, Ruth, you have not been to my house, but Ruth was phenomenal. When I launched my book, she literally flew in from Texas and brought her friend to my book launch. And I think she had so much fun. And she met phenomenal people at my book launch, didn't you, Ruth?
Oh, yeah. Great
So
people.
she came into my house in a different way. Does that make sense? She got to meet all my supporters and my people. But what I'm trying to say is this lady was trying to change me. And she wanted me to get rid of my Barbies, which was Mickey, right? But it was my thing. And I think when you walk in my house, guess what you feel? That you're in Sherry Berger's house, right? So when we walk into your website, I had my website updated, and I used to have a very cookie cutter. And now look at, I got this jumping person, and go look at my website. When we look at your website, does it look like Debbie's website? Or does it look like Sherry's website? See what I'm saying? When I look at your website, when I look at your Facebook, when I come to visit you, do I say, oh, this is so Debbie? Even with the quirks of liking Mickey Mouse, right? All right, guys, you guys go make it a great day. I don't want to waste your day. I'm really excited that tomorrow is day 4 of this challenge. And I will send you guys that you can sign up, if you want to, for the thing that will be coming out next month, because we'll have a mastermind coming up, and I'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow as well. All right, guys, go make it a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.